We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Lester Cotton, Miami Dolphins offensive lineman. Right now, he's in at right guard, and after I didn't pay too much attention to him as the preseason was going on, but after I saw he made the roster, I had to go back and watch, and now I can see why he definitely made the team. He was very consistent, honestly, just out there at the guard position. He's listed as the backup right guard and center, and he really impressed me in pass pro specifically. I thought as a run blocker, he was a little inconsistent at times, but pass pro, you can see he really just understands what he's supposed to be doing. He's got a strong anchor. He's a very intelligent player in that area. Now, this is preseason, so you take everything with like a little bit of grain of salt, but you can definitely see how his play could translate to better NFL players, and it's been pretty fun to actually watch his film. I like the depth more for the Dolphins offensive line than in years past. There's still the big question marks at two of the starting spots, but I do like more of the depth options, and I think even the guys who didn't play that well last year look better under this offensive line coach. Cotton just does a good job with his base. He can get aggressive in his setting. You can see how he, like right here, boom, he just jumps, sets, and gets into this guy, gets engaged instantly. Pretty solid hand placement. He even gets stood up a little bit here, but he's able to sort of extend, anchor right there. Good, nice, bend in his ankles right there, a little flexion, which is nice to see. He gets a wide base and is just able to hold him up. Stay square, good hands, and then he has some pretty decent feet to mirror and match in a lot of situations, but overall, pass protection was very nice to see. At right guard again, he just stonewalls his guy instantly. He instantly wins his rep. Good anchor initially also, and he's one of those guys who likes to get engaged pretty quickly with his hands. He's not the super patient type, but he doesn't overextend, which is a nice thing. He gets engaged quickly, but he has a nice little, bend, lean to his game. He's not overextending at the point of attack, and then he sort of gets stood up. He pushes his ankles or his hips into it, flexes them, and he has a nice knee bend, good base, good hand placement. He sort of resets his hands in there, and now he's in just a very nice technical position. This is basically what you're taught to do in pass pro, and he doesn't really get moved back. And now the guy, once he stonewalls him, he tries to move to the, Cotton's, his right, Cotton's left, and he's able to just sort of, match it with his feet. He's got some decent enough footwork to match with the defensive tackle. He's not an amazing athlete, but he definitely understands what he's supposed to be doing, and he can at least, go versus solid NFL defensive tackles. Really like this play from Cotton in a 4th and 2 situation. Allows Skylar to sort of break that pocket, but you can just look at this rep, the way he's able to anchor and reset his hands. You can tell he just understands exactly what he's supposed to be doing in pass protection. Very smart football player. Just watch it from the end zone view. It's always better to see it from the end zone view for offensive linemen specifically. But his hands start a little wide, and the ability to reset is always something I look for from an offensive lineman. As you can see, look how he initially engages here. And when this is a hand fighting game, he's a little wide. He's on the outside shoulders. He loses the leverage battle. This guy sort of lifts him up, and he's able to anchor low while resetting his hands to get back underneath at the same time. And I was able to anchor and stop this right here, extend those hips into him, lift him up, and is now in complete control of this defensive lineman. That ability to, recover after instantly losing like that is very, very important for offensive linemen. Things are not always going to be go perfectly for you, and the ability to reset your hands is such an important nuance for an offensive lineman to have. It's what you see the best do. Teron Armstead does it all the time. It's why he's such a good player. He really understands exactly what he can do when he's in a losing situation, and just to see that from Cotton, even in a preseason game, is really nice, projection for what he could do in the future. This was one of Cotton's better run blocking reps, just getting him out on a pole. I feel like he's very comfortable when he can be out moving like that. Sometimes, he'll miss his block when he's just straight up base blocking at times. I don't think his technique is as comfortable there, but here, just getting him out of the move and sort of kicking out this linebacker coming down. Pretty good job. Active with his eyes. He's still a smart player. He knows where he's got to be. Just sees this, finds 50 shooting down, drops his shoulder into him, and you just got to engage here. Don't want to get caught up and constricted here. You want to get out wide, and he still is able to attack that inside shoulder to kick him out and then give Brooks a free lane, helping to get him into the end zone right there. Just nice to see that he can still do a little bit of work in the running game, but I would definitely say pass pro is his biggest strength. Cotton at right guard again, this time in preseason week 1 versus the Falcons. You can see how he's able to just get a little bit of shock in his hands. Watch this from the end zone view again. He kind of gets blown off the ball for the first step here, but he instantly just wins the battle right back just with some power and brute force. Him coming over, he's sliding to the left here to block the nose tackle. Watch this a little more slowly, and he sort of takes him on. He's a little off balance. See how his feet could be better here. He kind of like crosses over. You don't want to get that close together, and it allows him to like lose that first little step, but he instantly just anchors, holds on, good hand placement, and then takes his guy to the ground. Wins that rep very nicely, very quickly. Like his play strength, anchor ability, it's definitely there in pass pro. You can see he has a little bit of nastiness to his game as well. Here to see Cotton climbing to the second level. Look at him like cut off this linebacker outside zone from the backside of the play. You're the backside backside guard on this play. You're uncovered, on these types of play. When you're uncovered, you can either like chip and climb to the second level, like sort of help on a double team. But in this situation, he's uncovered. He was gonna, help block this nose tackle, but the nose tackle gets pretty much straight up on this offensive lineman. So instead of like trying to help there, he just instantly climbs the second level and is able, you can see the power, the shock, to take on 53 right there with his initial punch, and he's able to still get his hips hooked and just cuts him off completely, which is exactly what you're asking for on this type of rep when you get to the second level. Just a pretty, decent mover for a guy of his size, and now he's just in a perfect position. So if this was, blocked up like where Gaskin didn't have to hit the outside and it was sort of just to hit through this hole, he did exactly what his job was supposed to be done, and you could see why he's a little more comfortable on the move as a run blocker than in other situations. On this play, Cotton you can just see him tie his hands and his feet together. Look how he's just active with his hands. His feet are great, and then he finishes the block. Love that nastiness to his game. We'll watch it from the end zone view to really, see the initial part of this rep. But you can see how he finished it as well. But initially, gets pretty aggressive in his set here. Gets out of here, not wasting too much time. Reset those hands. Feet are tied with it, and then he puts the guy on the ground. We'll go back, watch that a little more slowly. But getting out of it, he looks comfortable in his stance, like wide base, wide with his hands here. He probably could be a little better with not using wide hands all the time. But he gets to end up, in a good spot here, high hand, low hand, able to reset underneath, win the leverage battle, while with his feet being active, keeping a decent base as well the whole time, bending at his knees, not overextending, so, good balance overall. And then once he's, like, in complete control, he just lifts him up and pushes his guy to the ground. Like, to do that in pass protection is actually insane. It's very difficult to do. And you can see, like, he was pretty much just dominating backups for the whole time. And it's going to be, I feel like every single Dolphins offensive lineman that's on the roster will probably end up playing at some point in the year. I don't think Cotton's any different. Injuries happen, and there's a bunch of, there's two spots that I could see easily being rotated to without injuries at left guard and right tackle, and he could probably play left guard. He's more of a right guard, but he could probably rotate in if needed, and he is listed as a backup center, so anything happens there, he could easily slide in and have a role at some point of the season. Last play that we're going to break down for Lester Cotton. Just finish off with a running play here. And this is just him winning with power, turning his guy, understanding positioning, like a little nuance to his game. You can see the torque to this too. Sometimes it's literally as simple as getting engaged, and look how he just extends that left hand with his shoulder, that left arm. It's pretty much as simple as that. He's just blocking down this way towards this 3 tech, and he gets engaged. And once he's engaged here, he's just understands he's not going to be able to, he wants to just kick him out, right? There's running some split zone action, kick him out, so he just boom, torquing that left arm with the hip. That's all it takes sometimes. It's just as simple things. You trying to, drive and move people like this. All you just need to do is just boom, a little bit of nuance. Love that from him. And how he just completely drives his guy out of play, because then he can overpower him because he won the leverage battle and understood exactly what to do. And he'll, basically they worked right off the back of him here, and he was able to climb or help Chris Brooks climb to the second level. Just impressive work. These were his most impressive run blocking reps. There were some inconsistent ones throughout where he didn't do the best, or just, some plays you're just not involved. But pass pro, feel like he won pretty much every rep besides maybe like one and a half. But definitely a lot to like in that area. So I was a fan of his game. Like him as a depth option. Definitely the depth looks way better on the offensive line, at least in the preseason, than it's looked in the past many years. Like, usually I watch depth offensive linemen for the Dolphins in the preseason, and, don't want to watch for very long because it's painful at times. But honestly, watching the depth offensive line this year was pretty good for the most part. Most guys actually were excellent. All the guys I did videos on, I thought, really earned their spots on the team. Like, Robert Jones, Keon Smith, I think at left tackle was impressive and pass protection, specifically at left tackle. When he played guard, it was not as good. But, guys like Isaiah Wynn, I even thought Eichenberg and Austin Jackson looked better than they had in the past, but still not convinced they're starters. But we'll see how that all works out. Fan of Lester Cotton. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.